What's going on, guys? I wanted to put a quick video together discussing how you can be more in control and manage your emotions under extreme pressure in the markets. And I know every single one of you have been in that situation where you feel yourself getting red hot, firing up, being emotional, and maybe making some silly decisions that you maybe regret a little bit later on. I know I've definitely been in that situation in my trading journey. So I want to share some tips, some tricks that you can implement to control your emotions under pressure. Okay, there are two components to this that I'd love to share. The first one is preventative, and the next one is more so a cure. So what I mean by this is that there is groundwork you can do for your psychology that will help lower the probability of being in an emotional situation later on. And let me give you an example of this. In the 12-week challenge, I share a particular process where I help my guys and girls go in there and start seeing the other side of winning and losing. They start to ground the judgment on the outcome of winning and losing. And what happens is that they go into their subconscious mind, they start to reassociate through Hebb's law, new associations to previous experiences. So for example, they had a very painful loss in the past, we go back to that moment, we help see the other side of that event. And through Hebbian law, you rewire and reassociate the brain. And what they were once labeling a terrible, painful event is now balanced. And they start to see that it had both pain and pleasure, and that it was an essential component to their journey as a trader. It was essential for their growth. Okay, so that's a little bit of a shift in perspective. Now, let's say a trader doesn't do that, right? If they now take a loss, or they're put in a situation where they may potentially experience a loss in the markets, what's going to happen is they're going to take that information in, they're going to compare it to their subconsciously stored previous experiences. This is all unconscious, by the way. You're not aware of yourself doing this. And because that loss was so painful in the past, everything's going to come back up. And the association to that event is going to be, this is going to be bad, this is going to be negative. They're going to have pain substances released on a biochemical level, and it's going to feel like a terrible experience. You're going to feel the adrenaline, the cortisol kicking in, and you're going to be in that fight or flight survival response. That's an individual who doesn't address the subconsciously stored data in their mind. And what's happening is that because they haven't addressed the previous experiences, everything's coming back up, reminding this current event is reminding them of that past bad experience, and they're having the negative emotion as a result. Okay, so when I say there's a preventative thing you can do, the thing you can do is go back and address the subconsciously stored data, use the processes I teach in the 12-week challenge, and you start to rewire the brain to realize that, you know what, that loss had advantage to it, had benefit to, it was essential for me as a trader. And then when that event comes and is happening, or something reminds you of that, you're balanced, you're neutral, because you realize the previous experience had both advantage and disadvantage, and it allows you to stay poised and present and allows you to make the best possible decision according to your plan. As opposed to the trader who hasn't addressed that stuff and they get emotional, they make irrational decisions from their chimp, they make irrational snap decisions that they later regret. By addressing the subconsciously stored stuff, you allow yourself to stay poised, present with the market, and make the wisest possible decision. Okay, so I just wanted to throw that in there because that's really the best thing I know. If I was to work with a trader one-on-one, that's what we're doing. We're going back, we're addressing all that stuff to get them present, to get them grounded, to help them shift their perspective to winning and losing. Okay, hopefully that was insightful. If you want to learn more about that, check out the 12-week challenge. It's very, very, very key as a trader to learn that process. Now, that's a preventative thing you can do. The cure on top of that is, let's say, for example, you want to implement something right now and you know you're a trader gets red hot, right? You just can't manage your emotions when it's essential in the market. There are a few things you can do. There are two things that I'm going to share with you that I don't really talk much about on the channel, but I think they'll be useful as additional tools because I've talked a lot about expectations and that type of stuff. So the two things I would love to share with you is, one of them is deep breathing. And what you'll find is that, let's say, for example, you're in the physiology and the psychology, really, they're interlinked. And if we're extremely depressed or extremely elated, you'll notice your breathing changes. And you'll also notice that when you change your breathing, your psychology and your state changes as well. So a little exercise you can do if you do find yourself getting red hot and at the charts is you can just step away really quickly, really briefly, and you can do some deep breathing. And I mean real deep into your diaphragm breathing. And you want to breathe at a 1-to-1 ratio. So you want to breathe in the same amount you breathe out. You want to just do that constantly until you feel yourself calming down and returning to a state that you think is wise to be able to execute in the market. So deep breathing is a really powerful tool you can do to change your emotional state and get back more present with the markets. The other thing you can do is meditation. I've talked a little bit about meditation, but even just one of those guided apps for 10 minutes, again, it's more so about focusing on the breathing and bringing yourself back to getting present, okay? Now, the key thing with breathing, the key thing with meditation, the key thing with all the mindset exercises I talk about, the key thing I talk about with expectations, is they all help you get present. And this is the key thing as a trader. If you're caught up in your memory and imagination, your subconsciously stored stuff, and you're emotional, because the emotions are only in memory and imagination, you're not emotional when you're present. So whenever you're caught out of being in a present moment, you're not making the wisest decision here and now. You're comparing things to previous experiences and fantasies and expectations, and you're away from being present with the market. So all those things I mentioned, all those things you can do to help gain control of your emotions when you're under, high pressure situations, they're all helping you get back present with the market. And that's really the key. You learn to take in the information for what it is, and you learn to communicate your plan based on what the information is presented to you in that moment. And when you can do that, you can make the most informed, rational, process-based decisions, and that's ultimately what's going to help you with your edge. Because that's what we want to be focused on as traders, is what's the wisest thing according to my edge over a large sample space that's going to help me become profitable. So addressing the subconsciously stored data that I talk about in the 12-week challenge, and I talk about in my previous videos, meditation and deep breathing, these are all exercises you can do to help you get back present with the market, gain emotional control in very high pressure situations. So you're listening to the market, you're communicating most effectively through your trading plan to the market, and you make the best process-based decisions. Okay, so hopefully this was insightful. Check out the links in the description. I've got the free Bulletproof Your Mindset tool. I've got access to the 12-week challenge. I've got access to our free Discord group where you can jump in, chuck me a message. I'm always in there. And also links to my recommended prop firms below. Check all those links out, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.